Indie Unfiltered podcast.
Wait, is this a feminist movie?
The lady wanted to
That was
to
the
inject
director?
feminist themes into it.
Oh, okay. Because that again. Oh no!
We are missing in this feminist story. We're missing the woman.
Yes.
And identifying her. We have no
Yes.
identity. She's a gray blob.
Yes.
Give
me the woman.
Mens ben jij? Ik ben een mens, ja.
Destructible. That's crazy. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2.
Wait, do we know what episode this is? Welcome to Indie Unfiltered podcast with your 3 black hosts.
Welcome back to our podcast, Indie Unfiltered, with Daisy on Mills.
I'm Alexander Williams. Find me at Alexander Ray Williams. That's my handles on everything. You can just look that up.
Vincent J. Walker.
Yay.
Am I doing tags now? Like no.
Oh, no,
We
we,
have
I
to
mean,
let you.
Last time it was all about it.
Shameless plugger.
just
I'm
out
the
here.
least active on any of these.
You just out here plugging.
Find me. I won't be doing nothing. There's nothing else.
Oh, but we have something exciting to announce today. We just figured out the name for this podcast.
Yeah,
right.
we did.
Who wants to announce it?
I'll say the first word.
All right.
Indie.
Unfiltered.
Indie Unfiltered podcast.
Unfiltered. Indie Unfiltered podcast.
Indie Unfiltered podcast.
Indie Unfiltered podcast.
And that'll be our name across all platforms.
So today we have one of Alex's short films, and Alex, you can give us a little more information.
Yeah, this is a short film that's won a lot of awards in 2025, so it's really new, really recent. It's called I'm Not a Robot, and it's from the Netherlands. From, I think her name is, well, let me make sure I got this right. I'm Not a Robot. We're gonna have to cut the silence here.
I am not a robot.
Victoria Warmerdam. Yeah, she's got a couple films, short films under her belt.
Oh, sick.
And so this is the one that's her most recent and probably doing the best.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's roll it.
Let's get involved.
I like that. Let's get involved.
Let's
Hell
get
yeah.
involved.
Let's get involved.
Maar zou het eventueel ook zo kunnen zijn dat u ook echt dan zeg maar?
Is mens of een dierenmens? Of een kindermens? Lara? Lara? Sorry, wat? Wat voor mens ben jij? Ik ben een mens, ja.
Would y'all have told her?
Yeah.
Or gaslit her?
Nee, dat is dus het enige wat je...
Oh my God!
Ja.
I think that was great. I want to watch the whole feature. I want to watch the whole thing.
You're like, I want to watch it again.
No, yeah, it's like, dang, like, where do you, like, what do you go from there? Like, if you write it, so if you're writing, if the whole feature gets written, where do you start? Do you start with her finding out? Do you start where you started there and then she finds out? Or do you write a whole story about her finding out and trying to figure out how to die?
I don't know. I think of AI. I think of Steven Spielberg's AI, where it's about a robot who wants to become a real boy. That's the closest thing that this makes me think of
That's
like.
the closest?
Well, in terms of
Talking about Pinocchio?
no, in terms of like what would you do with a story like this? It's like, well, I don't know if there's anywhere to go from here. You know, Westworld's already doing it too. And
Well, Ex
Yeah.
Machina did it.
yeah, a lady who gets smart and kills everybody. The message I felt was kind of like they brought it up. They said it. You know, you're a feminist. Yeah, I'm a feminist, but that doesn't make you a feminist. I think a big part of I'm Not a Robot is the control of like this person's destiny outside of, it's all out of her hands. It's all out of her
I
control.
think we should unpack that.
Ooh.
This is going to be Three men talking about feminism and robot women. This is interesting. Let's do it.
I mean,
Let's
it is an interesting, like, all right, this is gonna be controversial. Brace
Don't get us canceled before we start.
Brace yourself.
So we only lasted 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, right. Because I always think of it this way. Like, I think black men have the most relation to women in the oppression of it. Obviously, like, I mean this, like, we don't have to deal with what women do at all. So I'm not saying that in any regard, but I feel like we do have an understanding of like, you know, the feminist movement and all of that. And so I guess, like, it's almost like, yeah, she's essentially a slave.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, but I love women. I'm a feminist. And it's like, yeah, well, people love slaves and they love black culture, but that doesn't stop them from using it or stealing it or optimizing it to their benefit. You know what I mean? That's, yeah, hopefully that made sense.
No, it does.
I'm not comparing. Well, I guess I
He's
just
not
did.
comparing.
It's the same and it's different. I'm relating. I don't understand because I don't understand what it's like to be a woman, but I do sympathize or empathize with what women have to go through and them being used as objects to other people, because black men have experienced that also. We've been used as objects, or black people in general have been used as objects and tools for other people's gain. So
Totally.
like, what's that?
So totally. So
Yeah.
do you feel like then that, like, Companion or the short, what was the name of the short film?
I'm Not a Robot.
Do you feel like I'm Not a Robot and Companion is like the white female version of, like, Get Out?
I like that comparison.
That is a great comparison. I think there are touches that are different. I mean, the stories are completely different, right? But yes, there's a very big similarity of the undertone of it.
I mean, I would go so far to say is that in both cases, the body's up for you know, claiming.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have in Companion
Body autonomy.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so he's like, oh, you know, especially in this one, which is really interesting, you know, and you talk about unpacking something, to say, like, you and I are the same, except when I die, like, you die.
That's crazy.
Like, you can do anything you want. But in terms of destiny, like, that's the only thing that's different. That's the only thing that you can't control in this relationship, in this dynamic.
Which literally means, yeah, everything and nothing at all. Like, it's like, oh, you're free. You have your freedom and autonomy, but you don't have freedom and autonomy.
Right.
It's like, how does that work? Like, how does that make sense? Like, that completely overrules everything. You don't have control over, you have control over your life, your everyday life, but you don't have control over your literal life. You know, like, if you can't die, you can't choose when to die. I'm in control of when you die, essentially. I have control over your life, but you're walking around. You can, you know, you have autonomy to do that. And it's like, well, if you have control over my life, then do I really have control over my life?
Yeah. And to be fair, that was a robot. We're talking about a robot.
Yeah, right. It's like, at the end of the day, you're still a robot. Like, that's, wow.
Yeah.
Good writing. Great writing.
Yeah.
I just feel like from a story perspective, like, I just have this thing of, like, my one qualm with short films is, like, they have to take these, like, large leaps to make it work, because it's such a short amount of time that they have to work with. So, like, this leap in this one was that, like, the finding out is crucial. Like, that's just how the story starts. But then once she finds out, and once the husband, like, he shows up, and, you know, which is already kind of like, couldn't wait to get home kind of thing. But also, and that's fair, I'll let that go. But, like, the introduction of Pam, and then sort of like Pam's like her pushiness was a little bit too much for me to grasp. I was like, I agree with you, Denzian. Like, I feel like Pam deserve to be in the feature version, but for me in this story,
Ah,
it was
yeah.
just a bit like
Pam
it
sucks.
was a bit Pam did suck, but like Pam was pushing a little bit too hard. Like I
Yeah.
feel like Pam could have just had some choice words to kind of like diffuse the situation, but Pam
Yeah.
was just straight up like, no, you're a slave and you're gonna do whatever
Yeah.
my client says, so shut the fuck up. You
Which-
know, like that's what Pam came across, and I was like, Pam, like, are you actually doing your job? Because I
Yeah.
feel like if you've done this many times before,
You know
you
how to-
wouldn't. This to me just like a little plot hole. And then like really that wasn't even the biggest reach for me. The biggest reach was her jumping off. And like I get why it had to happen in this short film. Like I get why it had to happen, but I feel like her making that choice is saying a lot. Like it's saying like I realize her like feeling outside of herself and like being dissociated and like this is not my own body and I don't own myself, and then the heartbreaking moment of like him saying him acknowledging
Yeah.
that she's essentially a clone of a love
His
from
wife.
the past, a dead wife,
that
which
made it
is
so much worse.
Yeah, that's
You were
way
right.
worse. But it's like for her to leap off the, I don't know. Like I feel like if you were human and then like 5 minutes ago you learned that you were not human,
Yeah.
is your immediate thing to do is like kill yourself?
Well, it's
rob him.
it comes back to what you were saying about Pam though. Pam, like
She was an escalator.
so she was the antagonist.
Yeah.
Like in reality, he's not the problem. Like I mean,
He's not the problem?
Well, he's definitely the problem. But he
Nice
was
save
trying.
there,
He was
JT.
trying to be he was trying to be loving in saying everything. You're the same. You're nothing's like you're still a human. All this stuff, and then she basically comes like, no, he owns you. And then it's like she's like excuse me, like what? What?
That actually
Oh,
presents a question for me though, because I feel like is it a little weird or odd that like the antagonist is like another woman? Like outside, like obviously he's the bad guy. 'cause
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
the one who
for
did
sure.
this, who put this trigger. But in this short film,
another.
she came off as like the bad guy.
Yeah. Was she a robot? I don't know. That's why I was like,
that's my guess.
that's like it looked to me like she was another robot who had just had her emotions completely
Yeah.
turned off because she was very much like there was no empathy.
yeah.
And it was just like,
Yeah.
okay,
right.
Pam's here now. She's going to explain to you how to be a robot and not ask questions and just like be unemotional. And which is crazy because you get that with women. Oh my gosh. I hate speaking about women because I feel like it's just unfair. Like I don't
I
want to
think
try to
for
be the
this one
voice
we
of
should have
women.
invited our guest
We
in the other room.
We should have invited our guest from the other room. It would have been. It isn't. It
Just
would
so
be
you know,
so
'cause you
nice to
don't
have a
know,
woman's
Alex's
perspective.
wife is here, but Alex said, no, you don't get to be on the podcast. I'm totally kidding, by the way.
But it is interesting, though. It is a thing. Like, and I only know this because I've heard this from women that women are pinned against each other. Women are like it's like this is the way you should act. And even in like work environments, it's like, you know, the boss woman. It's always like, well, I had to do this in order to get the position that I have. So you have to do the same. And then in a weird way, it reminded me of those stories of being like, well, you just got to suck it up and get over it. And it's like, even though she's she's a robot, but still, it's like it opens up a whole autonomy question and also a conversation about like, you know, what women have to go through by being used as objects in other people's worlds, in business, in whatever, in relationships, in marriages, in friendships. Like it's like the way that the world views women in you know, through, you know, sexual whatever. It's like women, their autonomy gets taken away a lot. And that was, I don't know, that was a great depiction, a non-linear way of showing that. It's like my wife died, so now you have to take her place. And basically you can't die until I'm dead because I want you around. And like you can say, oh, that's sweet. He wants his wife around. So he cloned her basically. It's like, nah, it's kind of weird. Like you just basically like took your wife's memory and put her into somebody else. So it's like not even that. You just created a whole nother world of like your kids like don't get to properly mourn your wife. You don't get to properly mourn your wife. And now you've brought somebody else, even though she's a robot, into that circumstances. And now that person doesn't have autonomy over their life. And it's like because you couldn't get over it. Right? Because you needed your wife to still be around. It's like that's selfish, even though she's a robot. Right? Like,
Yeah.
What it makes me think too is like, I mean, there's probably thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people buying these robots. And of course, if you look at like economically, men have, more buying power than women. So it's like probably a lot of female robots out there who are at the mercy of their owners in this case. And then what we're seeing depicted is, I mean, by all accounts, like a good guy. He's like, yeah, I don't ask you to like have crazy sex with me. I don't take you away from these things and this, that, and the other. So like what we see is a depiction of what a good guy is, even under the lens of feminism, because it's like it still is. You're still in the system, regardless, whether you're the male in the system or the woman in the system. It's not a system that's friendly to women. So you can be a feminist or anything in between. You can be a good guy, but this is still
you
kind
could be
of
a black guy.
at least that's what I'm thinking, or that's what's occurring to me.
What the?
But no, yeah, you're completely right.
Wait, so you're saying, even though he's playing like this nice guy persona, but that doesn't address like the systematic
Yes.
issue.
And I don't even think he's playing. I think he probably is a good guy who maybe, I mean, I'm not going to build a backstory for this guy and say like, oh, like he was so hurt, didn't know where to turn, and he saw an ad on TV for a robot, and he's like, that could be my wife,
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is a good question. Though. Like, is he a good guy though? Like, based off of, if you just base it off of everything we just saw.
Nope.
Do you believe he's a good guy?
Well, the question was asked by Daisy like, do you gaslight her or do you tell her? And if he was a bad guy, he would have said, babe, like,
you're right.
You're crazy.
Dang it.
But
I retract my no.
but also like he's like, hey, like, oh my gosh, this is an emergency. Let me go get somebody from the company and like, let's go and like clear this up like right now.
But was he doing?
Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. I think those are actions of what somebody who needs to tell somebody something that they care about. Those are those kinds of actions. Like but I don't know if I can call him a good guy or anything like that. But
just based off the actions you've seen, like maybe he's not a good guy if you looked at his whole life, but just based off of what you just saw.
Well,
was
I think
he doing
comparatively to what other people would do with these robots? What I'm imagining.
I see.
I'm imagining in the scope of like this universe.
Like it could be worse.
Was he doing that?
Worse,
was he doing
worse,
that for her benefit or his though? That's my question.
Well, he stopped playing with the boys immediately. He's like, "Sorry, guys."
Yeah, but if he goes, oh shoot, she found out. Now is he covering his butt, or is he like, okay, I don't want her to freak out? But he did say to Pam, he was like, she's gonna panic. Don't make her panic. So I get that, but it's like, did he do that for her benefit or for his?
For their benefit. I don't think he saw them as separate. Which is why they might be going to die together too.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a choice.
I don't think that. I don't think that he saw them as separate. And I think that he was really there trying to like talk to her and trying to. I think like Pam didn't help at all. Maybe that's why.
Sucks.
Maybe it was.
I think we all agree Pam sucks.
Sucks.
But it's interesting though because I just feel like that ending was just it was a little bombastic. It was a little like showy, a little like just to like make it look interesting, I guess, which it did look interesting. But like I'm still bumping on the fact that she just leaps off the building.
I loved it. Loved it.
No, I liked it too.
It did feel like it was all compressed, and so it felt like suddenly she's off the side of the building.
I felt like we just missed like a whole arc in her like.
I wanted more
Character.
Yeah,
which I think is the point.
Which is the interesting part.
Yeah,
she said, "Oh, I wonder how the gentleman feels about this."
Het gaat er niet om wat jij wil, Lara. Het gaat erom wat meneer hier wil. Nou, dan ben ik heel benieuwd. Wat meneer hiervan vind.
Lara. 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 Lara.
Yo, honestly, that was a great
hesitation,
fall.
no stop.
She felt so great too. It was like just straight.
It's just
like,
straight down.
just
There was no, it was
no
just like-
jump. Just like I'm just gonna fall.
Yeah.
But I think about it this way. Like I look at it and I'm like, well, look at real life. Like how many male robots out of all the robots that we've seen coming out lately? How many male robots have we seen? I haven't seen a single one. It's been all female robots.
Yeah.
Like, so that's very telling. Like this was very telling about like not just, this world, but our world, like who gets to benefit from robots
we love
the most.
making female robots in cinema and
Right.
television.
It's like, yeah, like where, we don't make a lot of male robots because it's not, people might actually get more uncomfortable,
Sure.
which is wrong. Like we should kind of get more uncomfortable when we see female robots because then we look at them and like, why? Like,
I mean, the last male robot that I can think of is like the Alien series. So we always get like the
Benedict or not? Sorry,
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
yeah. We
Oh,
got that
yeah.
guy, and then
Terminator.
yeah, all the Terminator stuff. Yeah.
Technically, he was iRobot. He was a male robot.
It's really interesting because we, like you're saying, it's like, okay, if you're a man and a machine, you're made for war.
Yeah.
If you're a woman and a
Interesting.
machine, you're
That's
made
a-
for subservience. Like,
That's a
Or just
crazy
like
bar.
housewife- or like wife.
Yeah.
Wifey. Like there's hard. Like there's. I can't think of a single. Like war.
battle Alita, battle.
Yeah, that was an animation though.
Yeah.
No, it was live action.
Was it?
Yeah.
Shoot, I haven't seen.
She was-
Oh no, it wasn't. Yeah,
She
it was.
CGI,
It was.
part CGI. I think she was part CGI, but yeah, it was the whole movie was live action.
Oh,
Or
I
also,
because I had a friend.
Marvel with Nebula.
True.
She's a warbot. Warbot.
Bicentennial Man was I remember that movie as a kid and watching Robin Williams play this robot who ended up
Yeah.
becoming a real person. It was actually like
Yeah.
it was really dope and also really sad.
I love at the end of that movie when they're on trial and he's like, it's weird because I put human parts in me and that doesn't make me human, but I put robot parts in you, organs and stuff to make you live longer, and somehow you're still human.
Yep.
What a
Yep.
trip. I was like, dude. I think
Revolution.
what I wanted to say about the good guy, I don't think that in the system it matters at all whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. I don't think it matters at all because that's not the question or even like the you can if you're it's like being I'm the best I was gonna say like a Nazi thing, but like it's like if you can't be like
I mean,
like
you
if
can
the
say it
whole-
like
Best Nazi.
yeah like
it's-
I'm the nicest
you're
Nazi like
but
you
you're
would
still a Nazi, is what you're saying.
yeah
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not calling guys Nazis or anything like that.
But
there's just
yeah,
like
but you're saying like he made the choice to do it. It doesn't matter if you're a good guy, a bad guy, good intentions, bad intentions. You still made the choice.
or even
That
if he
doesn't
did
make you
the
good or
choice,
bad. That just makes you. It just makes it kind of wrong to me.
if he, even if he didn't make the choice, because I think that's like the big issue. It's like a systemic thing. It's like
that's
the
interesting.
system itself, and unfortunately, you receive benefits like you get to go buy clones of your dead wife and turn them into like unknowing slaves and accomplices to your
right?
life.
But I think you still get you still have a choice. You can either make that choice or you could just say, you know what, my wife is dead, and I'm just gonna live with that.
For sure. I mean, that's the choice he made or didn't make, but I'm saying the system itself allows for that choice to be made by this man.
That's interesting.
So the system itself
we could
is what enables this kind of, hierarchical like system.
Right now, there are robots being made for people, and majority of them are women. And so it is I get what you're saying. It's a systematic thing. But also for me, my perspective is, well, you can either, just because the system is flawed, doesn't mean you have to, you allow yourself to benefit from it. You know, you can say like, you can say, oh yeah, you know, they're canceling DEI, but I'm still going to, like, you can be a Target or you could be a Costco. You know, you can be Target, or you could say, all right, all right, we're gonna cancel DEI. Or you could say Costco, you'd be like, whatever, like, screw what the system is saying. We're gonna make sure that we do the right thing by our customers and our employees. You know, and it's like that you get to make a choice, but the person who is impacted doesn't. You know, so it's like she as a robot didn't get to make that choice.
Ooh, what if the movie is she gets a robot version of him, and all she does is send postcards to him from them on vacation. And I'm starting a new life.
See, but that's where I thought it was about to go for a second. Like when he said we're not so different, then I was like, okay, we're doing something interesting now.
Je bent geen hoer. Je bent geen hoer. Je bent net als ik. Het enige verschil is dat...
Het enige wat? Het enige wat, Daan?
Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one, but I feel like I was expecting a little bit something that was like different, because I feel like I've seen the robot realize they're not a robot, or the robot realize that they are a robot many times before, but and it didn't really offer, like, to me, it didn't really offer any specific perspective like that was like new or fresh. I guess like the only fresh thing is the man's perspective that you mentioned. That was very interesting, like this whole idea of like the nice guy who's like just trying, like, I guess he could have been worse. Yeah. Personally, I don't think it was very nice, but I think for what we saw, like from what we saw, like, sure, like, I agree with you. Like, every choice he made was like the best choice until he just straight up said, "Oh no, you're gonna die when I tell you to." Up till then, though, like, everything was like he dropped everything to come and like comfort her. I think that's really all he did. Yeah. but like that's a lot. Like that's a lot, I guess. Unless he's just trying to like protect his investment. You know, that's another way to look at it.
Well, he did say that. He said like you can choose to be. Well, he said that like you can choose to be with me. Like you can go off and do your own thing.
I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That is.
I might have been talking.
That is like very bold thing to say. Like if you can leave. If you purchase this robot and you're just giving it that choice to leave,
apparently.
I guess.
He's like, I'll make another one.
She's like working and he's like hanging out. Whoa.
Oh.
He's like playing. What did he say? He was playing games
with the boys. You think all the boys have?
Bro.
Yo.
He's the best of his boys.
He's the best of boys. Yeah, no, it's sick. It's all sick. Very sickening. It's a sick short. No, it's a very tame, sick short film. I feel like there's tame. Like it's tame on the surface, but I feel like there's like some sick things like underneath the surface, and it never really rises up until.
So you wish that it would have rose up and like been more.
Not even, because I've seen that too. I'm not mad at how tame it was. I thought it was kind of brilliant with how tame it was. I thought it was beautiful how standard it was and everything.
And the writing was I think the point. I think the phrasing, the way the dialogue went was the point of hitting these ideas of like, well, you're free, but not. You know, it was like I think a lot of it was less in the action and more in the writing. And you know, obviously we're reading subtitles, so you know, like, which I'm never against, but it does make things, it makes you slow down and actually listen to the words or read the words, so you pick up a little bit more dialogue, things that you might have missed because you're reading it, and then it pieces it together a little bit more, and then you're like, oh, okay, there's a clear message in the writing that these certain words are being said on purpose. That makes me think, oh, okay, whoa, this is what this person is really trying to say. Like, even in the beginning, I was like, dang, is this a metaphorical robot or is this like a real robot. And then, again, maybe the writer was trying to say like, yeah, metaphorically, like women are being treated as robots, but then what does it look like if we are actually actual robots?
I really like when she was like, "Hey, is it Laura or whatever her
Yeah.
Do you think I'm cold?" And she's like, "No." And she's like, and went back to work. Like, it's such a very cold act, though. Like, just take it at face value. Like, what do you expect her to say? Yes. Actually, lately,
if she would have said yes, would have been incredible. If she would have been like yes, and then she just went back and said yes.
She's like, "Wait, who told you that?" Like,
but what was interesting was the parents died. Like, oh,
she ain't got no parents.
Wait, when she said, when it said, "Did you have a partner die?"
It didn't say partner.
Oh,
it said, "Do you have a wealthy partner?"
Oh, are you? Oh, okay. Was it parents that died or tried? Oh, okay. Sorry, I might have remixed that.
Saar, vind je mij koud? Nee? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I thought the opposite. I feel like for me the writing wasn't the strongest.
The performances
I think
were
it
really
was the
good.
performance.
Performance
I think it
was
was
great.
the acting. I felt like the actors did great. I think the camera work was great, lighting was great, design was great, the house was great, or the building was great. Everything was great. I don't know. I just felt like when it comes specifically to the writing, I just felt like it was a little too on the nose, which is like the whole thing with shorts. So I can't really I don't want to bash the process, but so you don't have the space to really dive in deeply into much. But
it's hard to build a beginning, middle, and end with a short.
Yeah.
But I get what because it is it's something that has been seen or has been done.
How long was this short?
It was 22
minutes.
Yo,
It didn't feel like it.
It didn't feel like it.
It flew by.
Less.
Yeah.
When the credits rolled after she face planted, I was like, wait, what? Is that all we get? I want more. Has it been 22 minutes already? Which is great because then it's I'm not waiting for it to be over. I was like, dang, I just want more.
Well, I think when I saw this film and was like, oh, I'm going to bring this one. What I think struck me was kind of the novelty of the CAPTCHA thing. I mean, I've heard people joke about it, like, what if you can't solve a CAPTCHA, then that makes you a robot or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they literally made a short film of it, but it was also kind of like the
CAPTCHA stuff is so great.
These subtle decisions that I was like, okay, I'm a little surprised and I'm following, and this is kind of keeping me going along, because I think a lot of movies try to tell the same stories, and it goes with most underrepresented and minority filmmakers in the first place of
wow, yeah,
hey, I need to be heard, I need to be seen, this is a struggle, and this is real, this is systemic. And so when you start getting into systemic issues, the stories start to feel the same. Like, for instance, the overbearing mother on in certain cultures kind of driving their child into isolation and into this turmoil.
Everything everywhere always at once.
Yeah.
And so these things start to follow the same kind of patterns. And so I was kind of I appreciated that this one felt at least using humor as a tool to get us there and get us to the point. And there were some novel things, I'd say, like when I die, you die. That's kind of interesting. And also, whoa, that's a stamp that, right on that. There's no uncertainty about that whole situation.
Yeah,
that felt like that felt like where the movie, if it was a film, where it would start. Like that felt like, oh, it's about to start. Like the conflict is about to start.
So what if she finds out? I mean, I thought it was interesting that she found out through the CAPTCHA as well. I think that's like a cute like joke. But like, but like, if I agree with you, I think, you know, I see your point. That is a very specific thing that I haven't seen in a lot of other these types of movies where it's like, you die when I die. Like that contract, that little line in the contract is not something that I've ever seen before. So I feel like, what if that's like the beginning of it, of like a feature version where it's like she got into some sort of accident where she should have died, but she didn't.
Oh,
and that's what makes her wonder, like, why didn't I die?
That's
something like that.
That's a better start than him rushing in with freaking Pam.
What's really awesome
Pam,
about
suck.
this is like
Pam
she should have
sucks.
died, and so she's starting to do things to test herself. And the husband walks in one day and is like, you know, trying to protect her, but then and he now knows that like she's like, I just don't get it. Like and she tells him all the terrible things she's done to herself recently, and he's like, knows what the secret is. But I kind of like also like she's probably never gonna age. She's a robot. Maybe they update her with new skin.
Well,
or
she's
something.
like powered off.
Yeah. But the idea of having to keep him alive, and now becoming protective of him as one understands the value of one's own life.
That is interesting.
And it's like, it's a master slave. It's straight like the most kind of like
she doesn't want to die, so she's gonna make sure he, like in this you know, in this version, it sounds like she doesn't want to die, so she'll keep him alive.
That's interesting.
against his will.
Against his will.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like misery.
That's a great
action.
Like lock him in the basement. Like keep
Here's
him
your
fed.
food,
He's
Here's your
trying to
IV
escape
drip.
the whole time. Like, and she's like trying to create ways to like cryo.
She would turn him into
like,
a robot.
Or
Like she's
that,
working him out. She's like, and he's like on his like routine every day that she forces on him. Like he's the robot.
Yeah, there's another version of this where like she does not jump, and she's like, okay, bet, and then he gets to like 90, and then he's like on his deathbed, and he's like, well, this has been a great time, and she's like, no, you're not dying.
No.
You thought you were dying, but I'm keeping you alive.
Just let me go.
And then he's just like, please, I want to die. He's like, no.
All the boys died.
All the homies are gone already.
What if all the wives, all these robot wives, all like got into their own little like club to keep all of the boys alive? And so it's this sick thing of like, you guys had to play pickleball together.
Workout move. Get your
that's
fat
funny.
ass up.
Yeah, I feel like it has the bones and structure to go in like a lot of different ways. And I guess since there was already one about her trying to kill herself, can't do that as a feature. But yeah, that is interesting, like a trying to keep him alive type situation.
Do you guys feel odd watching a feminist movie? Like, and this is, I guess, known. This is something that she's spoken about, and as three guys like talk about it. And
Wait,
critique
is this a feminist movie?
The lady wanted to
the
inject
director?
feminist themes into it.
Oh, okay. Because that was the first question that came to my mind. I was like, are we saying
here's what I'll say about it. I would love to talk to the director, or at least if I can't talk to the director, listen to their interviews and like really understand where the feminism comes in my view. I truly feel like her leaping off is this like, I get it, like it's her kind of regaining her power, her autonomy. I get that, and if that's the point, then fine, like that's it. But you know, that to me, that just feels a little one note, and I don't know. Is it feminism? Like, is that what feminism is? It's like regaining autonomy. If that's what it is, then great. Then that's what it is. But if it's not, then I feel like the story could have pushed a little bit more on that. If that's, you know, what do I know? I don't know what feminism is exactly. I don't have a full grasp of it. So I feel like, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't feel weird talking about it. I feel I can't say I know one thing versus another when it comes to it because I'm not a woman. Like I don't want to ever take on. Like I said, I can relate in ways because it being a black man, that is relatable to certain oppressions that are felt. But when it comes to saying something indefinite about the feelings or thought process of a woman, I can only speculate, but only to understand, not to say anything as far as definite. And I also think it like maybe it helps us to like us talking about it helps to highlight, or even asking questions makes it, for us talking to men, maybe these are questions that men should ask themselves when they're interacting with women, or when they are being a little more misogynistic, or when a woman does say something and they're gaslighter. I think our job as men who are trying to highlight or elevate someone who writes a film like this is to make men think more about the way that we navigate with women, not necessarily trying to understand or trying to speak for women. At least for me, I'm not trying to speak for a woman, or I'm not trying to tell like or say, oh, this is what this woman is saying. It's like I'm more so saying, here's the questions that come up from me. Would I do that? Do I do things like that with my wife? Like, am I like, if she was to, need more autonomy, like, why does she feel she needs more autonomy away from me? It's like, it just opens up questions for me that I would ask myself and ask men. And why did someone make something like this? Mm-hmm. Why is someone who, does she feel like she has she doesn't have a voice? And so now she's voicing it through art. And now she's creating a story of a woman who is a robot, because does she feel like a robot? And why does she feel like a robot? What are we doing as men that are making women feel like robots? Like, it just opens up a plethora of questions for me that I would just ask men and challenge men to think about when it comes to women.
Yeah. It is nice.
I know that was
to,
a long rant.
It is nice because sometimes you watch something and you don't get to talk about it at all. Mm-hmm. It is nice to kind of have this kind of platform to be able to really go wherever it takes us. I think for me, there's like this strange disconnect or contrast maybe where you have this film that's won a lot of awards, and it's about a subject that we all agree is important. But then it's almost like, because it almost gets shielded now by the topic rather than the merit of what it does. And so then it becomes really hard to talk about it, because you can't critique one part of it without it being misconstrued that you're critiquing the whole of it. It's like, if I say I didn't like the movie, then it suddenly feels as though, oh, am I feminist? And I think that when it comes to like anything like this, I think it comes to black movies or any other movie where there's messages trying to be imparted. It's like, you have to like this because it pushes, the whole, a whole of society forward. And it's like, well, yeah, but I think we can all agree that there were strong notes to this and there were like less strong notes to it. And
Absolutely.
It's like,
my issue with it, and I just figured out as you were talking, was essentially that like she chooses to leap and recapture her autonomy, which is like fine. Like, I get that. My problem with that though is that there is no prior indication that like she like hates living.
yeah.
Like
yeah.
there was just nothing that like showed me that like her dying is like some sort of freedom. You know what I mean? Like, if the whole thing is like her gaining her freedom, like, why doesn't she just run away? Why doesn't she like, what is the like the death thing? The death thing, even though the death thing was interesting, I agree it is like such an interesting little like caveat to this type of film. I feel like though it was such an easy way to get like a little action at the end, and that's my issue with this short. That's my one issue.
I got something on that because, and maybe, and again, this is I can only speculate, but women sometimes have to go to extremes in order to gain their autonomy. Like women sometimes would rather die than be in bondage of somebody else. Same with slaves. You know, it's like, okay, well, and maybe this is her perspective, and just saying like it does get that extreme. It can be that extreme, you know, like
what it is like I have to do this to be taken seriously, and she wasn't taken seriously at all. Outside, I mean, with that dynamic between Pam and
even
her
the
husband.
even the CAPTCHA, right? Am I saying that right?
CAPTCHA.
Yeah. It was like she wasn't being taken serious by like from the start to Pam. Fucking Pam.
Well, I wouldn't say everything didn't take her seriously. Like her workplace took her
right
very seriously.
No, he's right though. They didn't, because she called the CAPTCHA people,
Mm-hmm.
trying to like get through, and they were just kind of dismissive of her.
They called her a robot.
Yeah.
Because she is.
It's like, are you a bot? It's like, well, are you? You know, it's like, and it's like women have to like, they're constantly trying to plead. You know,
But it was
I've
only,
sat in
I
conversations.
will argue that it was only in the relationship that she was not taken seriously. Everywhere else, she was like,
Well, Pam didn't take her seriously.
well, because that's the dynamic of her being a robot.
And
Like anytime it came up of her being a robot, which is what she is, she wasn't taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But everywhere else out in the world, in this workplace full of other women, she was taken seriously. They were hiring for an assistant for her so she could do a better job of doing what she was doing.
yeah, but that doesn't negate I hear what you're saying, but I think maybe what the writer's trying to say is like, you have to go through so many extremes just for people to hear that you should have autonomy. Let's say, and this is going to be a hot take, over your body. Yeah. Like that to me is like, why are women having to say it is my body, my choice? Like, why do women have to even say that? Like, why is that even a question, that you get to do whatever you want with your body? And it's like, oh, well, I can't. So you basically just told me that the only way I can die is if you die. That doesn't give me autonomy over my body, over my life. So I'm going to do the most extreme thing and take it back and take it in my own hands by taking myself out. And it seems like, and again, like, we are men, so like we don't understand that extreme in certain ways, but
I don't know,
that's
man.
that's just me. This is me.
No, I hear
chat.
you.
These are the questions. No, of course.
I feel like though, like, there's an aspect of the fight that goes along with this stuff. Like,
are you saying you're wanting more of a fight?
No, I'm saying there's an aspect of like fight for freedom, fight for what you want, fight for that autonomy. And this would be the equivalent of, and I'll just bring up Get Out again, but like this would be the equivalent of him like jumping off the roof instead of fighting his way out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You wanted more of a fight before that happened.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to mean physically fight. I just feel like there was none of that. It was just straight up like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leap.
And I don't mean physical fight. And I don't mean physical fight either. I mean like you want what it sounds like you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you wanted her to fight for her autonomy like more before making that like big decision. I think you wanted her to like try other things first. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, her decision was, I'm just gonna off myself,
right?
And which she tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
there was
I'm
nothing.
Still wondering why.
It's like stages of anything, and there was no stages. It was like from 0 to 100 with no negotiation. There wasn't even a negotiation in between. There was no negotiation of like, well, how about like we just like give me a minute. Like, I'm just gonna go home. You don't come home tonight.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Yeah. Like, she has this whole life. I wanted to know a little bit more about her.
That's what
like I wanted to know more
wow.
about her. Like
also,
I didn't know anything about her.
and
Nothing
again,
about
like,
her. You're right.
and again, going back to it, it's because it's a short. It's like it's the proof of concept. The work gets written in between that. You know,
Bro,
like
they had 20 whole minutes.
They had 20 whole minutes.
But like that went by for me. I'm like that went by so fast, and it's like okay, so you have to basically establish the conflict, and then you have to like have the obstacle, and then you have to overcome the obstacle, and then you have to have the and it's like
it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah,
and it can't be done. You can make like this really solid thing that explores all the things. And you're right. I'm missing, and that's the hard part. We are missing in this feminist story. We're missing the woman.
Yes.
And identifying her. We have no identity. She's a gray blob.
Yes.
Give
me the woman.
But
in your feminist story, give me the woman.
But would that be the point?
Maybe.
Would that be the point?
But I don't think so, because she killed herself before.
Well, I'm saying like is the point in this, again, this is just me asking questions. Is the point that you don't get a lot of women's stories enough because we don't sit and listen enough, and we don't.
No, I mean, there was a woman telling a feminist story.
I know, but I'm saying,
and we
like,
sat here and watched it.
I know, I'm saying, but is that the undertone? Like, are y'all's reactions? Are the reactions that y'all are having valid because you're not getting what you want to see more of? Was the writer doing that intentionally because that is the lived experience of the writer?
I mean, I think that's a hard question to answer accurately.
No, for sure. I don't know. I have no idea. That's like, I wish. I mean, this is where I'm hoping we can get to that point where we invite the filmmaker, because I would love to ask these questions because I think they're super important, especially us being men. Like, I want to know from her viewpoint. What are we speculating, and what are we?
Speaking of which, I just want to point out to our audience. Now 2 wives have arrived, so we have both wives in the other room right now. That we could ask and inquire about these things.
But I want to be right. I want to be right.
They are choosing not to. No, I'm kidding.
No, it would be and because our wives,
then I'll get proven
and because
wrong.
our wives are very, and because our wives are very much like they are very much like, you know, I think they would consider themselves a little more feminist. Like, I think them watching this, I would be so curious to know what their thoughts were, which I think maybe we can do. Maybe we'll do a side cut to this.
I don't even think they would be. I think they would agree with us that we know nothing about this woman. They would say, yes, she is going through a struggle. Yes, we know nothing about her. You can't argue that we know things about her because we know nothing about her.
No, we don't know anything about any of them.
We just know her job.
You're right. We don't know anything about any of them.
What is she? Oh, records.
Records.
Yeah, she makes music. I think she just makes music.
But that's the thing. That's the thing.
So that, because they were hiring somebody to help her with mixing and mastering. So
and again, we can't say that they would say, like, they would agree with us because they could probably see. Man, me and Heidi all the time. Me and Heidi all the time. We'll watch something and have completely different experiences. Yeah. And like, she's thinking about it from a completely different perspective.
So
she understands like a lot more of what just happened when it comes to like women saying certain things. Then same way with me being like, you know, if we're watching a movie where it's predominantly more black, and I'll be like, man, that's crazy. She's like, wait, I don't get it.
Nothing
you know,
happened.
it's like,
what do you mean? So my question is, do you feel like you know anything about the main character, the protagonist in this?
I feel like she really enjoys her job. She loves music. She was really like the moment in her closing her eyes and listening to the song while she's working, you know, and just having that moment. Like in the beginning, I was saying, like, I was like, man, like, like whatever she's listening to, like, it made me feel so calm. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a very calm person who like enjoys her work. And then she gets on, she's like, no, I know what I'm doing. and the questions that it asked about her as a person. Do you feel like you are
an outsider?
Yeah, like it's like,
Well, she
oh,
feels
okay.
like a creep,
so
which
now
is the name of the song.
Right. And it's like, okay, so now this is a woman who feels like she's an outsider. She's all these questions that they're going through in the CAPTCHA, like whatever. And then, you know, she gets introduced to the woman as
so you're saying all this stuff, and but the thing is like the cardinal rule of any cinematic medium is show, don't tell. And what you saw, what the things you're explaining are like words on a page. Like, this is supposed to tell us who she is, that she feels like an outsider, and when she can just talk to a person across her desk and get an answer, or she can.
Well, she did.
Yeah,
she asked one person.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like she felt like an outsider, yet she was still having conversations with people in her office.
Yeah, but it was like so quick. It was like back and forth. It was like, do you
but
feel
that's
this
what
way?
I'm saying.
But it's like, but again, with such a short amount of time, like then you have to change the story entirely, and it becomes about it becomes about getting to know her versus like the whole point of starting with CAPTCHA.
We should have got to know her.
And her discovering she's a robot, and then her talking to her husband, being like, hey, like I love, hey, love, all this stuff. Oh, you're with the boys, blah, blah, all this. Hey,
but does she like her husband? Does she like her life? Does she like being a wife?
To know that.
Like that's what I'm saying. For me,
you're saying
need
you don't
more
care?
time. No, I'm saying for me, you need more time,
bro.
Like and that's just me. So I'm also coming from an actor standpoint. So like, as y'all are more writers, so you're thinking filmmakers,
sorry.
No, I'm just, for me, I'm coming at a perspective of, she told me a lot through her performance. Yeah. I got to know her very well, to where by the end I was like,
Pam did too. She called her feisty.
Right. You like, but again, it's like that
was the only thing we got to pick up about her was what Pam said.
Well, Pam sucks.
Or like her reactions to things that weren't going her way. So we only had really one, like a downhill kind of like.
Yeah, my question to you then is, because I think their performance was strong. All of them did pretty good.
Oh yeah, they were great.
But like, if she had been some sort of like depressed or something at the beginning, do you think that would have changed the performance, and then that performance would have made that final leap off the building a little bit more impactful, or do you prefer that she was just completely clueless? I mean, normal.
The thing, yeah, for me, it was like, you don't like you said, show, don't tell. Like she showed me she was the only place that she seemed peace at, like, just where she felt heard or known was listening to music. Mm-hmm. She's in the music industry. Like, it was like, besides that, it wasn't much interactions with, other people. It was like, and she was a little more aloof. Like, she was in the room and like, she's on her phone and she's like texting. So she's having this anxiety. Yeah, it's like,
got so preoccupied after the CAPTCHA thing.
Yeah.
Her figuring out that she's a robot, that like, I think that just sort of like,
it took over
right.
It took over everything.
Because you receive information, right, that seems wild, and then you try and confirm it with the person you love. Well, first of all, you try to fix the normal situation, and then you get this stranger telling you, yeah, you're a bot, and it's like, what? And then it's like, then you find out this thing saying like 87%. You're 87% bot, and then you go to the person you love and you're like, hey, am I a bot? And then they completely write you off, and then you're like, all right, like it's like, yeah, you want to get to know her, but getting to know her is in her responses to the conflict. To me,
I feel like we got to know him more than her. Yes.
I actually know nothing about him.
What?
His wife died. He bought her.
Yeah.
Like, we find
those are three
history. That's a lot of history. His wife died. That's enough for a lot of people to just go off of.
But that's the thing. She doesn't have history.
Yes, she does.
She's a robot.
She literally has been living day to day up to this point until she realizes it's all.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think there's an important thing we have to do or we get to do is ask, was that intentional? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was intentional in the way of like maybe what you're saying of like, oh, there's not a lot of time. But I think the audience, if you want to elevate it beyond like a one note thing, we have to get fleshed out everything. Yeah. And I think the things that you're talking about before we even got to this point of conversation, you were watching it going like, I think, is she like a metaphorical robot? You were projecting this emotional kind of connection with her.
Yeah.
In a way that him and I weren't.
Yeah. And I think, and again, it's like you go from a filmmaker aspect, right? The logistics. I'm going from an actor aspect, like the emotion. So I'm looking at the emotion and I'm like, I'm already invested because I'm like, dang, is she an actual bot or is it metaphorical? Because the way she's maneuvering is very robotic. She is sort of a little more blank. She is just a very much like a calm, like, and then I'm responding and reacting, but not too intensely. Like, does she feel like a bot in real life? Like, I'm asking all these questions and watching her emotions sort of confirm things as it's going along, and I'm picking up a lot of her character traits. I'm like, oh man. So by the time she jumped off, I was like, yeah, let him fuck. Like, let's fuck around and find out. Like, let's like really. I want to know. Like,
yeah. I do have to defend our honor a little bit. We don't just look at logistics.
Oh no, I'm not. Sorry. No. Sorry. He's like, wait a minute. But I get you.
I do understand your point. I feel like if you were just sort of zeroing in on just like her performance specifically, I could see how you could go through this journey with her. But like, what I will say, I'll only speak for myself, but I try and look at story, like big picture. Like, I try to step back, not just performance. And when I'm looking at the whole thing as a whole, that's when the holes sort of start to like come in.
Well, and to speak to that too, it's like what you're talking about are like assumptions. And I think that's the hard part is like I try to stay away from assumptions when, especially in short context, because the whole thing is like, how can I set something up and subvert that expectation? How can I set it up and subvert that expectation?
Right.
And I'm looking at what it's telling me, and I'm enjoying it that way. Oh, CAPTCHA. Oh, okay. Oh, she's calling. A lot of people find out their bots this way, and then you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going down this trail, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think after all was said and done, and I looked at. Try to pull all assumptions, and that's why we're having the conversation, is to like expose some of this stuff. The lady jumped off and it was very quick. She'd found out probably within like from the moment she found out, it was probably 90 minutes till she was off the top of the building. And I'm like, I can't even mourn this woman, and maybe that's the thing. I can't even mourn this woman.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything when she was on the ground and the blood was coming out. Like, I really didn't.
I don't think any of us felt anything.
I really wish.
We all went like, damn.
No,
like,
I felt something. I was like,
felt something.
I did. I was like, yeah, you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do. Like, if you, because I'm telling you, this is why we got it at some point. I would love to get to circle back on this one, because I want to get, if we ever can, the writer, because what y'all are saying is, and not this isn't like on y'all, but this is like these are like the experiences that I've heard from women when they're trying to explain like certain things to men.
That they want to just jump off a roof.
They just want to jump.
Damn it!
But
I
it's
can't
like
get to him.
it's like trying to
paying attention to them.
Yeah, it's like you're saying like, oh yeah, I got more from the man than I did the woman, and I'm like, and for me, I'm like, wait, I didn't get anything from him. I just like I got that his wife died and he wanted to replace her, and but for her, I watched her go through all of these emotions and feelings, and like then to just like it's like, and then Pam comes in. And like another woman who should be an ally is just like, no, yeah, you like this, you're a slave. Sure. And then she's like, excuse me. And Pam is the one that escalates it, another woman versus the man. And then now you're like, well, he might be a good man because he at least said she had, but it's like, but he made this choice.
He was a good man.
Right. But I'm saying, but that,
I don't think it matters whether he was good or not.
But it's like all of these things are happening to her like rapidly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like when things happen rapidly and you're like, you start feeling out of control of your life, you go to the most extreme. I mean, experience, like, and you know, this happened to Billie Ann, our friend Billie Ann, when she took her life. Like, she went through a divorce. Things kept happening. She kept trying to, she wanted people to listen to her. She wanted people to hear her. She's like, hear me, hear me. People started ignoring her. People were, and then to the point to where she just made in a split moment a decision that no one expected. And also she was on her way to a job that, and then they found her trunk was open, full of flowers, on her way to a job. And it's like, I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, I've experienced a woman go through those changes before. I've experienced a woman go through literally, I'm out of control. How do I get control? All right, I'm going to end it, or at least try to. And this is the beauty of it. It's like we get to use our real life experiences. And that's like, this is why I love watching film. Yeah. You know, it's like, I love watching this because it reminds me of my friend who was out of control of her life. Mm-hmm. You know, it reminds me of when my wife is saying, oh, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. It reminds me of when I see the world on social media and a woman is like trying to plead, you know, or expressing her feelings, and people are like, well, get over it. Well, you put yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Like, I watched a video of this, you know, girl she was doing a TikTok video, and she was setting up her phone and she was bending over. And then she like, this guy was like, oh, nice ass, or arse, because they were in London. And she started explaining how she felt about it. And in the comments, dudes were like, well, she was setting up for a TikTok. Well, she wanted to. Well, like, she should have taken it as a compliment. And it was like, she's literally crying. And dudes are on there just like going in on her for sharing her emotion about a guy who just like walked by and literally sort of like, it was like, that wasn't, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. He was complimenting you. You should have taken it as a compliment. And it was like, she was wearing like a normal, like the normal athletic wear. And it's like, I'm watching this woman and I'm seeing different flashes of experiences that I see women go through. And I'm like, dang, yeah, girl, jump off the roof. Like, that, it sounds crazy, but
no, I didn't think of it that way. I feel like that also explains why it was shot so standardly, and that's not a word, but it was shot standard, and I think that's to your point of like, it was about her, and we probably should have been focused solely on just like her performance and the small actions that she took. That's what you take on it.
I don't, this is a short film that's won a bunch of awards. It's doing well. It doesn't need my support or anything like that. So I think I still am not convinced that I know enough about her and her character. And I guess what it makes me wonder is there, if I were going to ask the director anything, it would be like the writer director, like, was there a reason why you chose to depict a robot being a robot, and us having kind of like this veil of ambiguity, and so when she finally does die and comes back to life, I mean, she's a robot, so I guess at the end of the day it's a comedy, but you know, why not try to sink a more emotional, cemented, concrete thing, not the things that we want to bring it to it ourselves or anything like that, not the projections of our pasts and our experiences and what we want to see. The film was what we got. What we got was the film. It starts with a woman trying to fix her computer while she's doing her music thing, and then she finds out she's a robot. She tries to call her loved one. Her loved one immediately jumps in the car and gets there to tell her, hey, you are a robot. And then he reveals to her, not only are you a robot, but like, we're kind of tethered for life. And then she jumps off a roof. That's literally the only things that happen in this film. And what are we supposed to feel about her jumping off the roof? Are we supposed to just interpret it ourselves? Is that the entire thing is like an interpretation? Because in that case, then, yeah, I mean, we've all talked about how I mean, the things that you've said, yeah. I think we all agree, like, you know, this woman was not being taken seriously, and she needed to do something severe to be taken seriously. So I think we all agree with that. All I'm saying is, like, for the short film kind of side of it, I wonder how the movie would have changed had we learned more about her.
I want to hear what you all think in the comments section. We're just going to wrap things up here. We are Indie Unfiltered Podcast. You can find us at Patreon, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Indie Unfiltered Podcast should be the name of those things right now. And any last thoughts before we wrap this up?
I hope you liked the film.
Hoped you liked it. Or you didn't have to.
All right. Peace.